All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is National Rent Control. It's closer than you think. Guys, I can guarantee that. With how crazy rent prices are, a lot of the tenants are kind of unionizing against the landlords, guys. I see both sides because I'm on the side of a landlord, guys, right? In terms of where I'm standing, at least. I understand that rent prices are crazy. Luckily for me, I'm not one of those people that are rent hiking, right? I can tell you right now that the properties are well below what rent is right now currently, guys, right? There's no I have no interest in raising it. The houses are already paid off, guys. So again, I have no real interest in rent hiking on people that are just trying to sustain, right? Guys, you just get some really good tenants and you just have no interest in doing that, guys. That's it, right? I'm not one of those people that go in and do the landlord special, right? In terms of like all the terrible paint jobs and things like that. I am not that person either. We are not a slumlord over here, guys, right? But I understand that my very specific situation is not the situation of many others that are around the country in terms of landlords of multiple properties, guys. Like their very specific situation is they will sell their house to BlackRock, right? Then they'll come in and be like, hey, listen, this is not enough money for the investors, right? This piece of property here needs to at least be going for, I don't know, $2,900. I'm like, bro, why are you doing that? I mean, I get it, money, guys. But it's really not lucrative to do that, at least for the sake of like humanity. But when it comes to like these gigantic corporations, they don't care about humanity, they care about profit, guys. But us mom and pop landlords, again, hopefully a lot of them are doing well, right? I know a couple, and they're doing fine. The mortgage is paid off because luckily they got in during the golden grace period of basically free money at 2 and 3%, right? You get what I'm saying here? So when they bought these properties, their mortgage is way below what rent is. They're probably making $1,000 above that, guys. Just to be honest, they're making $1,000 above their mortgage. So every single month that the tenant pays, on average, it's going to go to insurance, taxes, and then the piece of property. So they can easily double up on every single mortgage payment every single month if they keep it in the range of under $2,000, right? $1,700 to $1,900, let's say. But all right, let's get it, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into this immediately. Let's see where this takes us.
No break! No break!
The housing market is a catastrophe.
Record rental prices across the United States.
And something's got to give.
Living in America.
I haven't even checked to see.
Right, I can't afford any of these apartments.
$1,800 for a one-bedroom apartment.
$1,400 for 485 square feet.
I guess I just live in my truck.
Guys, and I honestly thought that what I rent for was a little, I think it was middle of the ground, right? Generally, the rent is from 17 to 19, right? But these properties have backyards, 2-car garages. I think the smallest one is 1,800 square feet, and these are houses, not houses in moderately good areas, guys, right? Like successful neighbors, most likely. You get what I'm saying here, guys? But let's go.
Over a third of Americans are renters. And if you're in that category, you probably don't need to be told that the rental market is out of control.
Let me actually see how crazy it is.
Can anything actually be done
in my area?
A historic wave of tenant organizing, unlike anything we've seen in decades, has found one answer: national rent control.
The tenant movement is absolutely within striking distance of rent regulation at the national level.
But it's not just tenants who are organized. This is also a story about how some of America's biggest landlords, banks, and private equity firms are hiding behind innocent-sounding front groups.
Yeah, Blackstone,
all while
BlackRock.
pooling their money. to keep your rent high.
Right. Guys, you guys do know that if rent control actually happens nationally, if it's like an apartment building, okay. If it's like a gigantic company that owns like 5,000 houses, for example, I think those can probably be rent controlled. If it is a mom and pop landlord, guys, I'm not sure that's going to work. What's going to happen, I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. If this happens and it's too close to the overall mortgage of that house, we're going to sell. I'm telling you. And we're going to sell to BlackRock or Blackstone. And this is not like a threat or anything like that. But what it is that a lot of these landlords are going to get out of these properties. 100%. They're going to get out of them. And then what happens when we do that, the response is going to be, these companies are going to come in and be like, all right. They're going to be worse, bro. Right? I think certain cities need some type of rent control. Again, I haven't like thoroughly looked. I'm still looking it up, but
I moved into Waldo Heights in 2018, so I've been here 5 years now. And every year since I've been here, my rent has increased. Every time my rent is raised, I'm at a crossroads of being evicted.
oh, they're raising
Millions
the
of renters
rents
like
like
Val are
that,
trapped
bro.
in a rental market that's built to empower abusive landlords who can raise rents each year while allowing conditions to get worse and worse.
The mice, the roach infestations, sometimes they don't pick up our garbage.
Right.
When I first moved here, I was told that the security gate was going to be fixed. The gate is still not fixed, and so people come in and they sleep in our hallways.
And I bet they honestly sold this to the people, right, as a gated community, right, with a security gate. It doesn't work, right? That's wild, bro. And really quickly, I just checked the rental prices in my area: $4,200 for 1,800 square feet. Guys, I'm renting for literally in the area for 1,700. Am I doing something wrong?
I'm
Bro.
afraid sometimes to come in my building at night.
I can imagine.
My landlord is Landmark Realty, corporation based in California. They don't care.
No,
they
they don't.
just don't care.
Since the last financial crisis, rental units are increasingly owned and operated by corporations like Landmark that are accountable, first and foremost, to their private investors.
Absolutely.
For tenants like Val, legal protections against abusive landlords are often limited. But she discovered one powerful way to fight back.
Go
So
ahead.
me and my neighbor, my best friend down the hall from me, we just said one day, she was like, let's call KC Tenants. And I said, okay. So
Okay.
I
What is
called
that?
and I left a message on the hotline. And a couple of days later, I got a phone call back.
A group called KC Tenants. We're fighting to stop eviction hearings at the Jackson County Courthouse.
Evictions will kill people like me.
Charged crowd packed.
Oh, guys, evictions have to happen sometimes, guys. I understand they're absolutely terrible if you're experiencing it, but they have to happen, because if they don't happen, then the the house that you're living in, right? They still have to pay the bills even though you stopped. You get what I'm saying here, guys? And another person should not have to subsidize your living, basically.
City Hall for more than 3 hours.
But let's see
Yellow
the
shirts in
stipulations,
the room
though.
Are tenants, each with their own personal story.
In a national housing crisis where rent inflation has vastly outpaced income growth, groups like KC Tenants have given their members power to take on their landlords.
We have written and passed a tenant's bill of rights. We've won free lawyers for every tenant facing eviction. We've organized buildings and neighborhoods, and just recently,
Okay, but who's paying the mortgage on the property? I get it, but who's paying the mortgage on these properties?
we elected 4 members of city council.
And that movement seems to be growing.
Places like Louisville, Kentucky, Bozeman, Montana, Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
The current surge in tenant organizing is the most significant since the 1970s, and it's allowing renters to fight for the kind of big relief that only the federal government can enact.
Oh, and they're probably going to go down the lane. Okay, a lot of these like multifamily buildings and structures that apartments are generally in, for the most part, if you really want one of those, you can pretty much get one of those, with like Fannie Mae generally, like one of these type of loans, guys, or a hard money loan even. But I do think that a lot of these loans are being bought by the government. So in a sense, they're government fund. Oh, okay, I see what they're doing, guys. Let's get
to fight for the kind of big relief that only the federal government can enact.
Yeah.
There are millions of tenants across the country being squeezed by landlords like Landmark, and our federal government is bending out. That's right. We can fight back by winning rent control for everyone at Waldo Heights and for tenants across.
Yeah. When Landmark Realty secured a mortgage for Val's building in 2014, their loan was actually backed by the federal government. Corporate landlords like Landmark often benefit from lucrative loans through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, government-sponsored enterprises that purchase mortgages from banks and set terms for them. With 1 in 4 apartment units across the country financed in this way, the government is essentially in business with our landlords.
Yeah.
But that may be just the leverage that renters need.
We want to see every dollar of federal financing conditioned on a set of tenant protections. If you're borrowing on really favorable terms, that money is backed by public dollars, you should be on the hook. You shouldn't be able to increase your rent 20% and evict a whole lot of tenants to maximize your profits for your investors.
Okay, that right there, if that's the case, if that's the main issue with why they're looking to do some type of rent control, I respect it thoroughly, right? Again, I've never been a predatory type of person, right? So when I rent, I've never raised rent, like ever. There's never been really a need to. Insurance covers any damages. The insurance cost monthly is basically baked into the rent. And the mortgages are paid off. So there's really no reason to raise rents on anybody, guys. But I can see how there are a lot of people that are out here that are extremely predatory, guys. And if the government is somewhat playing a hand in it, they do need to probably make it, write it. Well, I guess they can't, because unless they're getting it specifically, because they're basically buying the loans from the bank, right? And that would have to be baked into the original contract, not added just because you purchased someone's debt, at least, right? So they can't really do that unless they go specifically through either of those two financial institutions, Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, right? And it can be baked into the contract where if you're going to be renting these properties, they obviously need to be filled to capacity, right? But rent itself cannot be raised, and the concept of eviction should not be threatened because you just raised someone's rent. Or how about this? It could be that they have like variable interest rates, right? Like if they're signing up for variable interest rates, then I can understand why rent may have to be raised if they're doing that, at least. But all right, let's get it.
What we want to see is them say, if you're borrowing from a government-backed enterprise, you can't increase the rent more than 3% year over year.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are regulated by the Federal Housing Finance Agency, or FHFA. Thanks to the work of tenant organizers, the FHFA is seriously considering policy along these lines. But there's just one problem. Tenants aren't the only ones who are organized.
Bro, the landlords are also super organized, guys. And they're generally the ones with the money.
Multi-family housing council, because the rent is too high.
Bro, come on.
They've spent so much of their time lobbying to make sure that rent protections don't exist for people like us.
Landlord industry groups like the National Multifamily Housing Council spend millions lobbying Congress and federal agencies to oppose rent control. Since the start of last year, the NMHC has spent almost $10 million lobbying against it.
This is pure corruption, guys. pure. Think about it. The only reason why they're lobbying for rent control is so they just can't get more money for the investors, which means that their stock price is going to be altered by that, right? That's all it is. All they want to do is show, yearly earnings or quarterly earnings, right? That their stock is still valuable or viable, guys. That's really all it is. That's all it is, purely, guys. It's actually so they're making an attempt to control the market by not allowing human beings to live. Oh, God, it's so disgusting, guys.
The NMHC's members include major banks.
That's what it sounds like they're doing, at least.
And some of America's most notorious corporate landlords, like Greystar, Avalon Bay, and Blackstone. Blackstone is the world's largest private equity firm, and by some accounts, the largest landlord in the U.S. In recent years, private equity firms like Blackstone have increasingly been buying up housing assets, often with lucrative loans backed by Fannie and Freddie.
Like gigantic packages, too, guys, right? So they're getting like these packages of like 100 to like 3,000 homes, and they're like, yeah, I'll buy all these, no problem.
Tenants have complained of rent hikes, evictions, and faceless corporate landlords unresponsive to repairs. The UN even accused Blackstone of worsening the global housing crisis by buying up properties and hiking rents across the world. Meanwhile, Blackstone CEO Steven Schwartzman earned $1.3 billion last year. For private equity firms like Blackstone, membership in lobbying groups is a way to protect their profits against threats like the current push for rent control.
Right.
A 2023 lobbying disclosure shows the NMHC has been lobbying the Biden administration against rent control and the FHFA's oversight of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And it's not hard to guess what their lobbyists are saying in those meetings.
No, we just had a team of people go into the NMHC offices. We did a meeting with their government affairs director. Cindy told us this is just a problem of housing supply.
That's a common argument from industry lobbyists, that if rent control limits developers' potential for profit, they just won't build as much housing. There's no question we need to build way more housing. And there are vigorous debates among housing advocates about how to do that through policies like zoning reform and public financing. But all of those proposals would take years to have an impact on rents. And the fact remains, renters need relief now.
Right, I can see that. If I'm looking at these prices
Time will
correctly,
tell if the federal government sides with tenants or corporate landlords like Blackstone. But the fact that these tenants have gotten this far is itself historic, and a sign that those of us who are renters may have more power than we think.
What's your name?
guys, because $4,300 a month for an 1,800 square foot house, bro, I don't even understand how that's even a thing, guys. I mean, that's not something that's affordable by the average American and still being able to kind of sustain their family, guys. It's not something that is sustainable at all. Like, at all. More property would help, though.
It does feel different living here and being a part of KC Tenants. When I would take pictures of the trash and send it to the property manager, he said that I was harassing them, that I needed to move, or he would use my lease to evict me. But when he realized that I had KC Tenants behind me, backing me up, I've heard nothing else from him since.
Yes, baby Z, whatever you're doing, I love it. Looks like she's conducting this choir. Let's do one last, I believe. Damo, you're on.
I believe that. I believe that. I believe that we. I believe that we. I believe that we will win. 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 I believe that we will win.
Listen, I hope that there is some type of relief in the future. Absolutely. Do I think that you're going to beat the landlords in court? I don't think so. And that's just being real, guys. I think the biggest thing to do probably is just get like corporate landlords out of the picture completely. Guys, we've run this country with having landlords forever, guys, right? But we didn't have corporate landlords at this rate. Once they realized the stock market was not kind of where they really needed to be any longer, at least for the time being, right? They ran into housing because they know housing itself, right, creates wealth and generates wealth over basically every half of a decade. You're going to see a pretty sizable return on your piece of property, right? In terms of the overall house value. They know that, right? So what they basically did was found a way to game the system. They're cheating. They're cheating and getting richer while everyone else is getting poorer, right? So by buying up all the property that's actually affordable and then renting it, guys, you're making it so the average American can no longer afford a house at all, because the value of the house that they're looking to afford is not something that, again, based off of the median income in the United States of America, 80-90% of Americans cannot afford, right? They just cannot afford it. So by doing that, what are you really doing? Destroying the country and all the other countries that you're in.
I had never been involved in anything as powerful as KC Tenants, and I'm emotional right now because they have truly given me a voice, and I know that they have my back in whatever goes on. They have my back.
Guys, it definitely seems like there is some type of reckoning coming, and you can kind of smell it, right? Like if you follow the stock market, you can kind of see what's happening. You're like, oh God, something's going on, right? A lot of these companies are literally zeroing out, like Tonic Pharmaceuticals, I think almost zeroed out. Meso, the stock. Almost zeroed out in one day type of thing, guys. A lot of these stocks are going crazy. Yellow just failed also. Anyway, but so like a lot of these, if the stocks are going so crazy, but yet everyone is saying that people are still buying homes, bro, people are not buying homes. Those aren't people. Those aren't people, guys. Those are firms buying homes. Cash offers. Right? And if you don't believe me, try to go. If you could actually get qualified for a home right now, if you have the capability to do so, right? And I would probably say you need to make maybe 100, depending on where you are, right? You may have to start moving out to the country, bro. That's just kind of where we are right now in America. If you want to live in the city, you're going to have to rent. If you want to live in any metro area of the city, you're going to have to rent. Based off the housing prices of the average piece of property that's sitting around, the cities, guys. For example, let's say if you made $83,000 last year, right? You should be looking at maybe $275,000 in a mortgage, right? And $275 is not going to get you pretty much anything in any city, in any big city, in terms of the city or the metro area, generally, and nothing that you can just move straight in. Let's say, right? You may have to start buying homes that are extremely distressed, right? There are a lot of areas that you can kind of be looking into for that very specific purpose, guys. But yes, I would definitely say almost the minimum right now. If you're not making $83,000, I don't think that you can kind of get anything almost anywhere, guys. Unless you don't need anything big, right? Like if you need something that's sitting around 1,500 square feet, you can probably get into that in Alabama, maybe, guys, right? In Alabama, you can definitely find something right now under 250, I would say, pretty successfully. But you're going to have to start looking into leaving wherever you are. You're going to have to. You may have to go back up north. A lot of Northerners are leaving the north for the south, but in all actuality, bros, you should stay there. Don't come down here. Don't come down to the south, bro. Now, you need to go to places that are kind of off the beaten path for any type of property right now. I would say probably 80 to 120, and you're going to probably make something. Like if your household income is between 80 to 120, you'll probably be able to get something. right? Maybe closer to the city, but if you don't make 80 to, I'll see it. If you don't make 80,000 to 120, then you're gonna probably struggle in any city. Absolutely, right? You're gonna have to find something that probably needs painting. You know, some walls need to be replaced. It's probably gonna have mold, right? The carpets need to be taken out and all types of things like that, right? And definitely don't get suckered into the company Home Partners neither, right? Because Home Partners absolutely is not the route I would suggest anyone to go to, guys. I mean, they'll go in and buy your house with a cash offer. But this is what I was talking about here. I'm just going a little rambling now, bro. The reason why I said they're coming in with cash offers a couple of minutes ago is because if you try to apply for a house, go buy a house right now, generally, you're going to start seeing that there are like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offers on that house that you're looking at. I'm going to go ahead and forecast maybe 60% of the offers on that house are going to be investors lowballing the piece of property, guys. They're definitely going to lowball the property. And so the agent's going to look at that and be like, okay, these are investors, these are cash offers. And then you're going to have people that are just trying to get into that house. Maybe it's the first-time home owners, guys, just trying to get into something because they realize the market really isn't working. And just better hope that you get like some type of conventional loan, not like a FHA, because the sellers right now know they're going to try to sell their home as is. They don't really want to be bothered with any type of contingencies. They're definitely also not interested in appraisals and things like that, inspections. So you basically want you to waive all of these things while competing against these companies, right, that are looking to purchase this house for almost nothing. Literally, they're going to lowball the property. Absolutely. Or they're going to run into someone that went through the company called Home Partners. Home Partners is going to go in and say, okay, you want $350 for this house? No problem. We're going to go ahead and pay cash $350. You want the house? We're going to give it to you. But you're going to have to pay us in rent. The mortgage plus another maybe 40% on top of the mortgage, right? So now you're looking at, right now at 7-something% in terms of the interest rate. Now you're looking at something crazy, guys. You're looking at maybe $3,000, maybe $3,200 or so in rent. None of that money actually does anything for you, right? But they give you very specifically the option to buy that house from them, right? But every year that house is going to go up. Probably like $50,000-$60,000, right? So if they buy that house for you, that's $350,000, and if you take, I don't know, guys, 3-4 months to buy that house from them, guys, the house is going to be like $420,000. They're going to go up like $60,000 every single year. Sickening, bro. Stay away from Home Partners, guys. All right, that's enough of my rant. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day thoroughly.